Welcome back to another video, guys. My name is Jaden, and today we're going to be talking about what must happen for Nordic American Tankers to hit $10 in the foreseeable future. But before we get right on into the video, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe, and comment down below whether or not you guys would like to see a weekly update video on Nordic American Tankers. And I just want to say before we get into this that this is my unbiased opinion on what has to happen for Nordic American Tankers to at least hit $10 per share. And while not all of these things have to happen, a lot of them would. The first thing that I think that needs to happen is for oil to maintain its price or go lower. When we look at the oil futures, we can see that oil was trending down today for the upcoming months currently, and this is a good thing. The reason why you would want oil to go lower for Nordic American tankers is because they specialize in transporting and storing oil. And whenever oil is cheap, they can charge more to store oil whenever there's a surplus. And this brings me to my next point. We want to see countries like Russia and Saudi Arabia keep producing oil to make sure it's still cheap and that there's a surplus of it. And this is actually one of the reasons why oil is trading down today, is because the OPEC meeting is coming up in the short term, and everyone's wondering if Russia is still willing to cut back on their oil production or if they're going to ramp up production like a couple people think they are. If Russia starts to produce oil again, I can see the prices staying low and possibly getting lower. But if they say they're willing to cut back for a month or two, I could see oil prices stabilizing, just maintaining around where they're at within the $35 to $40 range. But if they say they're willing to cut back on their oil production for up to a year, I would start to be a little bit worried of oil staying low. The next thing that I think that needs to happen is for tanker rates to actually maintain the rate that they're at now or increase further. When we look at the tanker market index for this week, we can actually see the Suez Maxes are at around $32,000 per day, and they're up from last week. And that is a good sign because it might have been the bottom of the tanker rates for the Suez Maxes. And if we can start to see it go back up in price, it would be a really good thing because they'd be making a lot more money. If we do start to see more oil production like we are hoping, we will most likely see an increase of the tanker market index for Suez Maxes, and they hopefully will get to around $40,000 to $45,000 per day, which would be about a $13,000 jump from where they're at now, which is a lot. But if Russia starts to produce a lot more oil, and then Saudi Arabia wants to compete with them and produces some too, we could be in a surplus again like we once were, which would be a really good thing because Nordic American Tankers makes a lot more when there's a surplus of oil. And something that might help with maintaining the surplus of oil, even if Russia and Saudi Arabia do not start producing oil like they were, is what is going on with the Rona and seeing a second wave of it, as there has been a ton of protesters recently in America because of the George Floyd death. And if we can see a bunch of new cases of the Rona because of the holiday and all this protesting and people being really close together, that would create a longer time for quarantine if we had to quarantine ourselves once again, and it would be less of a reason for oil to go up because everyone will be in their house, there won't be any cruise ships going out, there won't be as many planes in the air, and that would be a bad scenario with the second wave, but that is realistically what would most likely happen for Nordic American tankers to see a sudden rise in price. And I just want to make it very clear, I am not hoping for a second wave of the Rona. I'm just saying that this is what most likely would have to happen. And we can see that there is a ton of new cases every single day, and it doesn't look like the curve is actually flattening like most people say it was a couple of weeks ago, and it looks like it is still rising. The next thing is if Nordic American Tankers bought back their shares. While this is unlikely, this would definitely speed up the process of Nordic American Tankers hitting $10. And if you remember back to one of my prior videos, we talked about this and how Nordic American Tankers has a program that they actually opened up in March 18th to where they can buy back some of their own shares whenever they want to. While they do not have to buy back any of their shares, I could see them doing it considering how much money they've made. It's just we don't know when they would if they were going to buy back their shares. The next thing that we have to see from Nordic American Tankers to reach $10 is an amazing Q2 report, and we need to see guidance inside of it and not just how much they are making. We're definitely wanting to see that the shareholders are confident in the next couple of quarters and that they're not going to just drop off after Q3. If they come out and say that they will be making a lot of money for the next year after Q2, this stock will look a lot more favorable and can easily be a $10 stock. Because one of the biggest problems with Nordic American Tankers right now that investors have is how long they're going to be making this amount of money. A lot of people think after Q2, they're not going to be making much at all, and it's just going to steeply drop off. But if they actually are making a ton of money after Q2 for the next quarters to come, more and more people will start to buy back in, and it'll increase the share price. The last and final thing that I think we need to see for Nordic American Tankers to reach $10 per share is to have a short squeeze. Currently, there is around 18 million shares being shorted in Nordic American Tankers, and there was only 4 million shares being shorted just months prior. That is crazy how it is quadrupled in this time. But we need to see the price increase and all of these short sellers to panic and buy back the shares. This will increase the share price very rapidly because all of these shares will start to be being bought back. And the reason why I put having a short squeeze last is because I think other things in this video has to come first for a short squeeze to even happen. If you made it this far into the video, I just have to say thank you, and make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon to be notified every time we come out with a new video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.